everyone. Welcome to another episode of Daily Wisdom Words podcast. I am your co-host, Rini O'Day.
Hey guys, I'm your co-host, Neil Trivedi. We want to give you a very warm welcome to our latest episode. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific time as we talk to guests who have stories, advice, and life hacks, all of which take you one step closer to that feeling of hope.
Today we welcome back artist and spoken word artist, Donna Marie Hamer, and somatic experiencing practitioner, Sharon Laflamme. Hi guys.
Welcome back, both
Hi,
of you.
Neil.
Welcome
Hi,
back,
Rini.
both of you.
Hi, Sharon.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Donna, Neil, and Rini. It's so wonderful to be here again.
So can you, Sharon, start by just reiterating for anyone who might have missed it, that what exactly is somatic healing and how it works?
So it's really best to show it, which I hope I can maybe have a time or a chance to guide you guys through a little experience of somatic work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
That's the best way to really do it. You want to do it right now?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Okay. So the somatic experiencing is a body-based therapy. And the whole idea behind trauma is not in your head. It's in your body, and it affects every system in your body. And when the body is in a state of threat, the whole body and every system is wired to fight, flight, and sometimes it goes into a freeze state. And so in order for the body to naturally release trauma that's pent up in the body, it has to feel the emotion and complete it, which we've talked about before, right? But when we're in our body and we're up here in this really threatened, high activated state, and I call that the gas pedal, could be floored, you're really globally high intense activation. You lose your ability to function cognitively and think, and you lose a lot of your body. It goes into a state of threat. So in order to really get the benefits of this work, we need to be in a parasympathetic state, or what we call the break state. And that is the body slows down, which it's supposed to do at night. Like, the sun goes down and we start to feel tired and we start to feel relaxed. And that's the way we're meant to be. And that's when we are just ready to repair and nourish and detox and just heal ourselves. So in our work, the body has this innate wisdom, right? It knows how to heal. Every surgeon says, go home and heal, because they know your body's going to heal. And the same with our emotional, physical, spiritual self. We have it in us, but if we're so traumatized, we don't know how to do it. And so I help facilitate this. And part of the way it happens is if we can get into this relaxed parasympathetic state. So for all of you out there in Daily Wisdom podcast world, I would like to bring you an experience of some somatic work and hopefully bring you into a state of deep, deep connection with yourself, where we feel whole and connected and aligned. And I do want to say something to people. If you find that you get triggered, because some people do, they find that they can't do it, don't even try. Never force yourself to do something that doesn't feel right, okay? Make sure you just stay in the zone. So I'm also going to invite you to possibly turn off your cameras if you want to at home, because then you're not seen. And the body relaxes when it doesn't have to be on camera, being seen, being on, right? So that's always a nice thing to do. And then I'm going to invite you to arrive in where you are and notice your surroundings, okay? So take a look around and see what looks pleasant to me. Like I have a picture of my cat. Oh, that feels good, right? Look at your art, look at your colors. Find something that feels good, okay? And also as you orient, make sure you notice that I'm safe here. There's no danger. There's nothing happening. There's no one peeking around the corners. This is pretty safe. Okay, so I'm oriented. And so let's land. So notice that your sit bones are on the chair and feel them. Feel what it feels like to let them be there. And let some weight down if you can. And we never struggle or force effort into the body. We just listen to it and allow it, right? And we let it inform us how it is. So you might be able to be really landed, meaning your butt and sit bones come down and there's lots of weight there. Or you may notice I'm not really there, and that's okay too. I'm going to invite you to feel your feet. And if they're not on the floor, put them on the floor or a surface. And notice, just take the time going inside, maybe closing your eyes, and notice the places on your feet that are actually touching the surface. And just be aware of that. And then I'm going to invite you to notice the temperature of those places that are touching the surface. And notice the pressure of that where the surface is. And also give a moment and notice, can you feel and sense the boundary where the skin ends and either the sock, shoe, or surface is there? Just being aware. Can I notice that? And then I'm going to invite you to press down into the floor with your feet and stay there for a moment. Notice the legs engaging. Notice the pressure in the feet. Notice if anything happens with tingling or sensation or temperature or anything. Just notice. And then just let it go and feel the body releasing that foot pressure and leg. And notice how that feels. And if that feels pleasant or not. And while you have hopefully your face is soft and your eyes might be closed, notice if you can find an awareness of your body that's in space, that you know it's erect, and just notice if you can feel and sense that body and space occupying the inner parts of your body. And also notice the outer boundaries. Notice all your skin. Notice and feel from within the boundaries of your skin. And notice how the skin feels where there's clothing on it. And then I'm going to invite you to notice the areas that are exposed and how that feels. And while your eyes are closed, I'm going to invite you to bring your awareness to your eyes. And imagine you're seeing. It's closed lids, but what do you see? What do you perceive behind those closed lids from inside? And then the invitation is to draw those eyeballs back into the skull and let them drop down and notice if anything happens in your inner perception. Take a moment to taste what's in your mouth. And take a moment to smell what is in your peripheral distance, close proximity, or maybe even a further away proximity. What can you smell? And notice if you can feel the effects of gravity on your body. And bring your awareness in the area from your throat to your pelvic bowl and just check in with all that area, the intestines and the whole inner area in that place. Just notice. And bring your awareness to your breath by just noticing it. And feel it coming in and feel it going out. And just become aware of it, almost as if you've entangled yourself in that breath. And the invitation is to allow that breath to witness it coming in the nose, maybe hitting the nose hairs, past the nose, dropping down past the throat, past the belly button, bring it way down into that pelvic bowl. If you can feel and sense that breath going down, and then it expands out like a sun's rays floating out, let that breath expand and let the belly move and open, and the ribs and the back, if that's available. And be with that breath as it's ready to come out each time. Be with it till it leaves the nostrils. So this requires lots of a focus and attention. And if you notice your mind comes in, just gently say, oh, I got to bring my awareness back to my breath. And staying with the breath, let the deepness of the breath, draw it in without forcing or struggling. Let it float down into the pelvic bowl. Let the belly open and bring in the depths and expansiveness into your torso. And you can play with this breath and find areas that the breath could fill. Find cells that want even more breath to come in. Maybe the breath even becomes deeper and fuller so that it rises up into the ribs and up into the collarbone. And maybe it doesn't, and it's all okay. Just feel what your breath is doing. And how does it feel from the inside to notice that expansion? And when you have your next exhale, feel the contraction. Be with it as it squeezes out and it rises up that windpipe and out the nose, and notice. And notice they're in, playing with maybe more depth, more deepening, more fullness, more expansion. Maybe notice if there's some lightness and levitation. And notice when it's time to let it go, how you just let it go. Feel the body releasing it, sending it off its way. And I'm going to invite you to just stay for a moment in this place. And notice how you feel. Notice if there's been a change in your state of being. And maybe you were on the gas pedal before, and maybe you're now on the brake. And this is the place, if you're in parasympathetic, where we do the work of healing. So that was a little brief thing, but before anybody opens their eyes, I would like you to do a little more experimenting with your body, because being in touch and in tune with your body and how it feels is how the work happens. And you build this relationship with your body. So let's see what happens when I'm going to invite you to say in your head, it's time to open my eyes and be seen. And just notice before you even do anything, just the thought, if the body is having a response, preparing you to get ready. And then as you slowly, and I'm going to invite you to transition real slow, just start to let the eyes start to flutter, let some light in, slowly let the lids open, and notice if you notice that your body is now coming into some possible activation, preparing for the next thing that happens. And as you take your time, let the eyes open and bring yourself back and notice how you feel. And what happens when we get ourselves into these more states, the body learns to regulate itself. And as we start to get regulation and coherence, and this magical stuff starts to happen because our nervous system gets resilient, it's able to come up and down rather than be up and stay up. And as this happens, when we get into this state, emotions show up to be healed. Just like when you're in a store and all of a sudden this wall of grief hits you because you're showing no resistance in this parasympathetic state. You let go of control, you show no resistance, and the magic starts to happen. The sensations start to show up. Something, and we don't even have to know why. All we have to know is that if I feel it, if I honor it, if I let it come up and get strong enough and brave enough to feel it, it releases and completes and it's gone. Which starts to stabilize your nervous system even more.
There definitely was that relaxation, like, ooh, I could feel the calmness like coming over me as I went deeper and deeper into what you were saying. So, yeah.
What I loved the most was when you told me just to kind of like my body was feeling my feet, and I was just putting my feet down, and I felt that. It's sort of like that was a really neat feeling for me.
Yeah.
And that's so grounding. You know, when we start feeling like we're out of our skin, come into your feet, feel the earth or whatever surface, and start to be there. Feel the feet one at a time as it walks. Really being in your body is the key to this healing, because we build that relationship, and the body is always keeping us safe, and it's always going to try to bring us into homeostasis and heal.
The most
I'm all emotional right now.
Felt, I know. I can't stop crying.
Really?
That was the most relaxed I have felt in a long time.
And that's why in trying to stop that natural welling of tears is not what I would be inviting you to do.
No, I know.
Where it shows up. This is the state. Where it shows up to heal. And we let it flow. And it's just this glorious experience and transformation.
I have to tell you that when you started bringing us up, I got a choking feeling in my throat, like I was holding.
And that's what I deal with those types of sensations. The deep wounds of childhood lie deep. And we've covered them up with all the ways we've learned to not show it, not feel it, and look normal. And when they show up as if you were a 2, 3, 4-year-old, whatever the age this happened, and it got stuck in your body. It's got that intensity. It's got that earth-shaking, intense feeling there. And which is why we won't want to feel it. We'll try to stop it, right? But when we start to build the relationship with our body, and we know it's keeping us safe, and we know we have these little bits of feeling, we start to build the confidence of, I can feel this and I'm okay and safe. And it starts the process of the outside world being healed. And then we go deeper and deeper as the body works on that. And we have.
I would just like to take
Donna Marie,
right this second and say.
What did you feel?
Yeah, what did you feel, Donna Marie?
Where did it come up from?
Intense calm. Like as soon as Sharon said something like just like like feel my butt. That's because I'm never aware of just sitting and being calm. But I want to remind everybody right now, okay, that there is such a thing called normal. It's only a setting on the dryer. There.
Yeah, exactly. I've never seen anyone normal.
I like that. I really
do. When you go into this,
well,
that's really normal. Like I say natural. That Sharon, you're always talking about this beautiful healing, but being able to regulate these really, really high, tough emotions, and just learning that there's this specific, I guess call it a tool, that we can navigate that.
Well, in regulating an emotion is really almost impossible when you've been hijacked by the autonomic nervous system, because the trauma is in the body, in the reptilian brain runs the show, so that you get hijacked. You have this intense reaction that you can't stop because it is so deeply seated and we have lost any ability to control it. Just like you don't control sneezing, you don't control a reflex, you don't control a shivering response. The body's keeping you safe. And when that reaction shows up, it's trying to warn you that there's a threat there. If we're still explaining the somatic work, that is what our reptilian brain is our autonomic nervous system, which is our peripheral and all our sensations and our ability to neuroceptively take in information and sense and feel. We talk with animals all the time. Rainy's got a dog there she's talking with, right? Or maybe two of them. We don't need to talk. We have these innate wisdoms, higher self that understands and knows. And we've cut ourselves off from it, from this body and this genius, really. And trauma cuts us off, disassociates us, freezes us, and stops us from having all this wonderful information available. And we have that language and those opportunities that doesn't require one word, right? We can soak in the world and we don't have to have a word because we have this language that we were given, that we only use a part of it. And I help people use and build that relationship.
That's how you help me, is that the more and more that I understand exactly how you're using these words, and some of these words I've never heard before, and then I kind of like make that effort to understand. I think that is in its own self the healing part, the part that, no, Donna Marie, just cry. If you're so sad. Look at what you've lost in the last little while. Just cry.
Okay, so as you know, I love the childhood trauma aspect because that's what I lived. That's what I've spent my life healing from, and that's what I am honored and privileged to support people with. So when you grow up and you're this little brain being and you're growing, right? And you're living in trauma, and it doesn't matter what age, it can start in the womb. The nervous system knows when it's being traumatized. The nervous system knows when those parents are yelling, oh, he doesn't know what we're saying. No, he feels it, just like we just got done talking.
Absolutely.
So the nervous system is trained early to sense and feel that threat, that I'm living in this threat and juice of these people fighting or arguing or whatever's happening in my world, which changes our brain chemistry, it changes our body chemistry, it changes our thought patterns. Every mental illness can be brought down into a state of the nervous system. Bipolar, that's you disassociating. You were so young and your parents scared you so much that you couldn't cope with it. And you either found new personalities or you shut yourself down and disassociated. The same with the super anxiety. Super anxiety is I've lived with this threat and my body doesn't know how to change it. Depression, I lived with such a threat, I went into a freeze state. My body started to shut down. I live in this state. Most of us that from childhood trauma have very familiar with this state. We don't care if we wake up in the morning, we have no reason to live. Our body is limp, lifeless, shut down, depressed, because that's what the nervous system does to save you, because it can't live in this super activated state. And so I totally believe that we can regulate our nervous system and get our chemicals back, because the gut is where most of our serotonin is created. And the gut gets shut down when it's in a threat state. And the dopamine, I forgot, that's in other areas too, but our endocrine system is so busy putting out adrenaline, cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, it can't regulate the real good, feel good dopamine, serotonin, and those type of feel good hormones, because it's too busy sending us into a threat state. So, you know, a lot of it is, to me, created because I think everybody and every human wants to be in this state of feeling their wholeness.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah. Much easier, very easier said than done, right? And you talk about like the dopamine and the feel good, and I know that is that what they say when another feel good like feeling, they say, I think I may be pronouncing it wrong, but oxytocin or something.
Yes.
And
Oxytocin.
so can you talk about it? Because they say when we hug our friends or family members, that's why we feel good. Is it true? It's because oxytocin like rises in our bodies and minds?
Yes.
Is that
Absolutely.
how it functions?
5 hugs a day minimum, 5 beats of the heart minimum. And you would want to also try to connect. You'd want to let go of resistance and really open your heart, which takes some time if you're traumatized. You have to build that capacity, right? But just being in close proximity to your animal, and what Reni's doing, holding her animal, brings oxytocin. Holding a baby, oxytocin. Breastfeed a baby, full boat oxytocin. But those we can create, and they're on my YouTube channel as tips, is even hugging yourself. It will bring up your oxytocin levels, which will also bond you with the people that you're safe with, right? Because you're not going to bond with people you're not safe with, which is the other thing. Really, all of this can be brought down to, was I safe as a child? You know, did I grow up feeling loved and honored and knew the world was safe and that I was loved and I could go out in the world? Or did I grow up knowing I'm not safe, I'm not loved, I'm not wanted, and the world is unsafe? So where's your chemicals here? And where's your chemicals here? Right?
I think it's also in the DNA. I think that there are certain specific conditions that, like, it goes in like generations and generations and generations. I'm actually talking about alcoholism. And I think that it's so difficult. Sometimes it's just like I skip the gene because I don't have that alcoholism. However, there are certain people in my family that, they still I don't know. I can't differentiate whether it is a disease or with mental illness is a disease or this disorder, or
if you look into epigenetics, epigenetics is which I talked about earlier.
Yes.
Your environment has more control over your genetic makeup and how your genes create and continue than your actual DNA from ancestors. So if you've got cancer, if you've got alcoholism, you've got all this stuff in your family, they are now saying that your lifestyle is like 85 to 90% more chance that you're going to change your DNA and you're not going to get this stuff. That the genes are designed, yes, but they have the ability to change and grow depending on where we go. Which I'm a clear example of that, based on where my childhood came from. 2 alcoholics, mental illness. I mean, it's
that's kind of like the plasticity of the brain. What you're talking about is the fact is that the body and the DNA is more capable of dealing with brand new stuff. Like
absolutely, it has
like me and my brain and my plasticity.
So Sharon, honey, what is trauma sensitive yoga and how different is it from regular yoga? Can you?
Well, there's all kinds of yogas, right? But the difference between trauma sensitive yoga and what Western people probably would do for yoga is the Westerners would consider yoga an exercise, right? So again, instead of explaining to you what the difference is, let's show you.
Okay.
So if you were in a yoga class and they wanted you to go into warrior, your arms come up like this, right? Okay. So I'm going to invite you to bring your arms up into warrior pose. Arms come up. Okay. So now I'm going to invite you to bring your arms down. And now I want to invite you to sense from the inside of your body, have your arms down by your side. And then I'm going to invite you to say to your body, we're going to raise our hands. And I'm going to feel the arm and hands raised. And you're going to slowly, with intention, feel the arms reaching up and let them rise up. Feel them rise up. Reach from the shoulder through the elbow. Reach from the elbow to the wrist, right through every digit and fingernail, and right through the fingernails. Did that have a different experience than just
totally
arms?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it did. Very
That's
much
the
so.
difference. In trauma-sensitive yoga, we slow everything down and we get into the feeling sense because most of us have disassociated from our body. So we use yoga as a tool to connect to the body. So I use it frequently in my work because we want to, feel that body. So even if it was like, let's just twist my arm. I'm going to twist my arm. No, we're going to twist it. We're going to feel it. We're going to rotate it. We're going to be in that movement with the body. And the breath is also going to be, inhale the arms up. The breath is going to be the inspiration for the movement. Exhale them down. The breath is going to bond with the body, and you become like this, that you are the body. You aren't just moving the body. That we get injured because we're moving senselessly without conscious thought. We're not grounding our feet. We're not lifting. And so we're getting in that body. And does that explain it?
It does, very much so.
And
That's
I can relate, just a quick incident, I'll tell you, because when I was 6 years old, I remember my mom took me to India to visit a lot of my family there. And I was signed up for a yoga class from a neighbor there because I had really bad asthma. And she said that breathing techniques are a huge part of yoga and it'll help you. But what I remember is that over there, they put more emphasis on what you were just saying, mindfulness, feel the breath, feel what you're doing. Whereas when I tried it over here with a couple of instructors, it was just physical. It was more emphasis on, it's like exercise. Do this, do this. This will help you lose weight here and you'll do, but there was no emphasis on the emotional and psychological aspect. And so that's a huge difference. So I'm so glad you brought that up because now I see, even in Western society, more and more people like yourself are putting emphasis on that. But way back when I was 6 years old, I remember wow, this is totally different from it's like two different cultures have 180-degree different approach to them. So
well, I love how Sharon takes us into our body. I mean, it's actually so inside we're doing the work, know?
Work, somatic.
Your body. I love that.
Yeah. That feels really good.
Yeah. And it's really healing.
So, Donna Marie, we know Sharon and we adore her and we all watch her videos on YouTube. So you watch her videos. What do you do when you watch them?
Yeah.
Do you practice
I do actually. You know what? So I'm there's so much going on right now as far as where I'm at, and I don't like where I'm at. So there's I'm just by myself and I have this really comfy couch and I have this ginormous TV and I put the video on and sometimes I sit down, most of the time I stand up. And I feel my feet and I'm breathing. Now,
you know Donna Marie quite well, and you know that she has this hyperness about her, and she is getting into the somatic. Now, what else would you recommend to her to help her with that? Calming herself down to where she's in that state. All of us.
Yeah.
Well,
we all
not just you. Me.
Yeah.
Everybody that listens to this.
Yeah.
So let's just take our hand and put it over our heart. And then take the other
pledge allegiance to
the liver. And then just take a moment and feel with awareness, because that is the beginning of anything, is to be aware of my body and how it feels.
Neil made a butterfly.
How does it feel to have your hand on your heart? And then I'm going to invite you to even press that hand in. So you're really kind of holding that heart, pressing on it, and notice what happens in your body. when you do that. So what happens with the somatic work and with some of the videos that you're walking down the road or whatever, is because they get you in the present moment in your body, which gets you out of your head. Because when you get into a parasympathetic state into your body, the brain calms and shuts down because it says, I don't have to work. I'm not unsafe anymore. So I can stop working. I can stop trying to keep her safe in my head. And so we come into the body, we come into the present moment, the present breath, and it gives us a completely different state of being and a different perspective on how things appear. And so the more we become aware of it and the more we start being in this state, we start building the habit, the nervous system learns to be here, and we can spend more time in our body in the present moment and less time in a frenzied state. And when we get in that frenzied state and we've removed trauma enough, we start to find out we can come back down and back into a good state much faster because we've gotten the tools and we've made friends with ourselves. And we come into this body, and there's so many different, even just touching your head can bring awareness, especially if you have a headache, and just bring awareness to the parts of you that may be not feeling great, and just listen to them from the inside. And being in that present moment is where the magic and the power of every day is. It's not in the past and it's not in the future. It's in the here and now, right?
Yeah. Sharon, why don't you put out your social media and your website?
Okay. So my website and where you can find me is at creatingserenitynow.com. And all my YouTube channels and my social media, which I haven't really been on, only Facebook lately, is there for you to find. And you can reach me there. And you can also get the information to start to see me as a free discovery session, because I'd love to spend an hour with you.
And my twin flame there, Donna Marie, why don't you give us your information so people can find your art and see what you're up to?
Actually, if you want, you can just go to one of my hashtags is the Joyful Garden, and that's on Instagram. Okay. And then I kind of hook up everywhere from there because I have my page, Donna Marie Hamer, on my Facebook connected, and you can find me on Twitter from that hashtag. And the other one is how does that go? Wordsmithing poetry. It's wonderful. I just feel like I've been so delighted ever since I found out that I'm can do this with you guys.
But thank you too for
honor
being you. We love you. Thank you everyone for watching, and thank you Donna and Sharon for joining us this week.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at all the links listed in the description below. And don't forget to hit like on this video and subscribe to this channel so you never miss an episode. Thank you everyone once again, and we will see you right here next week at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Goodbye.